phones, you can get online and watch.
But you have to turn off your audio.
Yeah. Shabbat Shalom. So nice to see all of you. Welcome. We have a real treat with us on this Friday night, this Shabbat. Our confirmation class is here in the sanctuary with us, which is super exciting. They are spread out all over the sanctuary, and they are experiencing a different kind of Shabbat. After services, we'll have dinner, and we'll have a chance to begin thinking about our confirmation service in detail, because it's only in a couple weeks.
It is.
So I hope that you'll join us for that. A really wonderful class this year. And Shavuot will be very special as well.
And it feels really nice to have them here. Right? That's
Let's just do some singing before we begin.
Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm also joined by my talented musical collaborator, Matt Richardson. Shabbat Shalom, we're happy to have you here. We'll begin, if you are following in the flip book, it's on page 11. It's Do Di Li. I am my beloved's, my beloved is mine. Do Di Li Vani Lo Aroe Basho Shanim Do Di Li. Let's try that again. Do Di Li Vani Lo Aroe Basho Shanim Do Di Li Mizot Ola Min HaMidbar Mizot Ola Min HaMidbar. Do Di Li. Do Di Li Vani Lo Aroe Basho Shanim Do Di Li. I thought what we might do is bring back something that I haven't sung in years, so I suspect maybe it's an old favorite for you as well. The text is Bruchot Habaot, Bruchim Habaim, which is welcome to this space. And for our students, welcome back to this space, to your sacred home. I think it is pretty special that after so long of being a part on Friday nights, that you are the first ones that we welcome here. And I think it says a lot about who we are as a community, committed to the next generation. So if you don't know the words, you will soon, and Debbie Friedman masterfully translates them for us, so please join me. Bruchot habaot, tachat kanfei hashechina, bruchim habayim, tachat kanfei hashechina. May you be blessed beneath the wings of Shekhinah. Be blessed with hope. Be blessed with peace. May you be blessed beneath the wings of Shekhinah. Be blessed with hope. Be blessed with peace. Let's try that one more time together from the beginning. Bruchot habaot, tachat kanfei hashechina, bruchim habayim, tachat kanfei hashechina. blessed with peace. May you be blessed beneath the wings of Shekhinah. Be blessed with love. Be blessed with peace. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining us. If you're just joining us now, we are thrilled to be live in your sanctuary. And we do have in front of us our confirmation class of sophomores who have their confirmation Shabbaton this evening. They're here to study with us, to learn with us, to work on their confirmation service with us. And it is very special to be welcoming them back. And so we sing, Hinei ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it truly is to be together in this moment. Please join me. Hinei ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Jordana Cherno Reader.
Shabbat Shalom. It is so wonderful to be able to celebrate Shabbat with all of you and to have our confirmation students here with us tonight. Such a joy to have all of you in this room, in this space, and to celebrate with all of you as well. So I am not sure about all of you, but I am definitely feeling ready for Shabbat this week. It has been such a full week, and I am looking forward to the pause, to the breath that Shabbat can bring. So as we take a moment now to ready ourselves for Shabbat, we take a deep breath, we breathe in and out and in and out, and one more deep breath in and out. And I want to share a reading with you tonight to help us get ourselves into the mind frame of Shabbat. We do not receive Shabbat, we do not celebrate Shabbat, we receive it. Adonai blessed us with this holy, holy day. We open our hearts, our minds, our beings to accept the gifts that Shabbat can bring. It is a covenant between our people and the Creator. We keep Shabbat, and Shabbat keeps us. It is a day of returning to our roots, for reconnecting with our source, a time to pray, to study, to learn, and to rest. Each week on this holy day, we turn our vision inward. We seek out that still, small voice, which is Adonai calling to us. The Torah speaks of heaven and earth, the sky and the land. Yet the eternal lives in none of these places. Adonai lives in each and every one of us. On this and every Shabbat, let us go forth into the world, speaking truth and doing good, practicing Tikkun Olam. We can truly embrace Shabbat by becoming more humane, by learning to appreciate our differences and honoring the promises to God. So let us welcome Shabbat now with the lighting of the Shabbat candles.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu להדליק נר של Shabbat. We invite you in this moment to raise a glass for Kiddush with us as we lead together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. לחיים.
L'chaim. So there is a Jewish tradition of using the Psalms that we sing during Kabbalat Shabbat as an opportunity to reflect back on the week that has just ended. It is a chance to think back about each day and find something unique or special about that day. And I know this can be a little bit more challenging in COVID time, but still is a wonderful way for us to reflect. For example, on Monday, you can ask yourself, what was great about Monday? What did I do that I was proud of? What did I learn? What did I enjoy? And Tuesday, you can ask yourself, what could I have done better? Did I speak to the people in my life the way I really wanted to? Did I spend my time in meaningful ways? And reflecting on our days each and every week this way, we can really think about what we want to hold on to and what we want to let go of. And finally, in our minds, we arrive here at Shabbat together in this Shabbat service, when we join together in the joyous reflection of Kabbalat Shabbat. So let us now sing these songs of praise to God, these songs of thanks, these psalms that help us reflect as we join together.
I invite you to join me as we celebrate together. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, l'tzuri shenu nekadma fanav b'todah. Naria, naria, l'tzuri shenu bizmirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. We continue with Lechado D on page 20. And I'm just gonna say, for my first time being in the sanctuary with people on Friday night in a year, I need more than that. So you gotta at least clap. You may not want to sing, but you have to clap, okay? Teenagers, come on, here we go. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmi'anu el hameyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet ve'litila lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki hi mekor ha'beracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshavat chila lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. We rise, as is our custom in body or spirit, and turn to the entrance as we greet the Sabbath bride. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha, uvetzola toch emunei, am segula. Boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela.
Lecha dodi likrat kala. We say, come enter this space with us. And I know that we are spread out. We are all over the city. Some of us are even in different cities. We're all trying to find that space together. So enter this space, and together we bless this space with our call to worship, the Baruch Hu. If you have a Siddur, prayer book in front of you, it's on page 28.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed.
The doorway that we enter on Shabbat leads us to a secret garden, a garden watered by a deep fountain, nurtured with the sun and cool winds. Can you picture it? The vines draped overhead, smells of blooming flowers, peaceful animals finding their nourishment from the garden floor. The sun begins to set. The garden breathes a sigh and settles in for the night. The night is dark, but it is also rest. The cool night air can feel like a blanket wrapping us tightly. Once this garden did exist, and the lush and vibrant colors in that garden are now stretched across the earth, sea, and sky. We are grateful to you, O God, who turns the planet in its course, streaming light from one end of the universe to the other, because by this light we know day and night. And in this moment, as day turns to night, we notice that beauty. We say a quiet thank you. The doorway we enter on Shabbat also leads us to Sinai, to the moment when our freedom from Egypt became something else, something much greater. Every step that led us away from bondage moved us closer and closer to purpose. As in life, we pass through many of these doorways, transporting us from one stage to another, to growth and setback, challenge and success. And as we make our way to our own Sinai, we discover who we were meant to become. We join together in the words of Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Ve'ahavta can be found on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
In this part of the service, there's one final door. This one known very well from our prayer book. This is an hour of change, we read. Within it, we stand uncertain on this border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where will our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on this border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or shall we cross over? We take the first steps with those ancient Israelites as they cross the sea.
On page 40. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה
I feel like when we sing Micha Mocha with joy, then we might actually have a taste of what it would have actually meant to be in that moment. I don't know, the melodies are always different, and there are so many different emotions that the different melodies can evoke. But I am always drawn to this sense that in many Jewish holidays, and take Passover, for example, what we're asked to do is place ourselves in the story. So can you imagine yourself in this moment of uncertainty? And perhaps you are in a moment of uncertainty in your own life. I think that the prayer is supposed to help place you in that moment. Standing on the shores of the sea, the Egyptian army behind you, the sea in front of you, and uncertain about what will come next. When we get there, when we finally cross that sea, it's worth clapping about. It's worth singing about.
Definitely.
So in this moment, we remind ourselves of Shabbat and its beauty. It has sustained us for thousands of years.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
People of Israel keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat through the ages. It is a covenant for all time. It is our sign of our relationship with God. Now, if you are in a place where standing is feasible, I invite you now to rise with us in body or in spirit as we turn to communal prayers that open a doorway to more personal prayers. Our standing prayer, our Amidah, page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Anora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'Ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מחכה לחיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
Days pass, years vanish. We walk sightless among miracles. O God, fill our eyes with seeing, our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed. And we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Blessed is the eternal God, the Holy One, Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Welcome to be seated. We'll pause now for a moment of silent prayer and reflection.
יחיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, וגואלי יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי
The sages taught that our prayers ascended like smoke, and that if the prayers came from the depths of our own hearts individually, then the tendrils of smoke would gather together. They would rise up and find each other in the air, in the sanctuary. And in that way, the Jewish people could pray together, each one of us in our own hearts, for that thing that we needed most to pray for. This is the sense of the Misha Bayrock prayer, the prayer where we say, God who was with our ancestors, please be with us in this moment. We are so desperately in need of your comfort, your healing, your peace. I want to add a reading to this, and the music is wonderful. Please keep playing. As in this moment, I am thinking of our brothers and sisters in Israel who suffered such a terrible tragedy this past week. For all of those who suffered, for all of those who died, and for all of the families that are right now in so much pain, I offer these words. Avinu Shabashamayim, Tzor Yisrael v'goalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu. O Heavenly One, Protector, Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise there, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. In addition, we're going to take a moment and please participate in the chat. We're going to say these words of healing for all of those who we bring into this space. Our congregation, of course, keeps a list, and we are especially on this Shabbat keeping in our hearts Deb Brigner, Andy Reed, Ken Kraus, Steve Koek, Mick Burrs, Michael Rexroth, Brian Davis, and Nancy Bonham. In addition, we remember those. We remember them in our prayers. Pray for their healing. Mickey Jeschke, Richard Tormolin, Anna Beth Spalding, Sharon Harrington, Janet Stockbridge, Ann Finkel, Diana Luz, Rabbi Ina, Tony Lewis, Tricia Casper, Jenny Turner, Lainey Shipper, Henry Black, Gabrielle Spiegel, Alex Henderson, Marcus Spiegel, Wendy Barish, Bob Michiels, Tracy Zitlow, Whitney Meeks, Nick Voiles, Julie Metz, Rhonda Kyle, Avraham Ben Avraham, Jane Bashir, John Hansen. Misha Bayrock, may the one who blessed our ancestors bring all of them a sense of strength that our prayers might offer them tonight.
Misha Bayrock Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. Be the source of strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Bayrock Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
So have you ever had a stranger do something really, really nice for you? Have you ever had a person go out of their way to help you, even though you had never, ever met them before? And have you ever thought about this incident long after it happened? If you've ever had any of these things, I invite you to share your stories with me by email or in some other way after the services tonight. Because I want you to keep that experience in mind as I share with you one of mine. A few years ago, I was taking my children to a back-to-school event at the local elementary school where we lived. It was an end-of-summer event and an opportunity to meet the new teachers, to see friends, and to be back on the campus when we were allowed to do that. And we loved the school, so we were really happy to be back there again. Mercer Elementary, the school where my kids attended, was about a quarter mile from our home, and we walked there often. It was a beautiful sunny day when we left our house, so I assumed, incorrectly, that it was going to be a beautiful day when we walked home. So you can guess where this story goes, because in Cleveland, like here, the weather can change very, very quickly. So since it was a sunny day, I did not bring any rain gear with us for our walk home. And by the time we were walking back, it was pouring with rain. It was not like a friendly little drizzle rain. It was serious, getting soaked by being outside kind of rain. You guys know that kind of rain that I'm talking about. And since I didn't have my car, there was no other option but to walk down in this heavy, heavy downpour. I personally thought the whole thing was quite funny. I mean, what else are you gonna do? It's raining, you get wet, not a big deal. And we were literally soaked to the bone. But my children, however, were much less amused by getting completely pounded with the rain. We did not have far to go, but they were still not enjoying this process. So as we were walking home, a neighbor of ours and his children saw us getting soaked, and they invited us to come stand under their awning. I had never met this neighbor before, but I appreciated this dry place to stand. So after a few minutes of us all standing under this awning, our neighbor, let's call him David, invited us into his house. So in that moment, I had a quick decision to make. Do I take my children into a stranger's house? If I do, what messages am I sending my children? Can I really trust this person who I have never spoken to before? He lives on my street, and we have walked by this house tons and tons of times, but we have never spoken before. So I wondered to myself if proximity of location makes a connection between us. Here is a neighbor who is just being kind to me and my children, yet his kindness brings out my protective instincts over us. All of a sudden, I was extremely aware of the fact that I am a short female and I'm walking alone with 2 young children. So perhaps correctly, perhaps incorrectly, I am still not sure, to be honest. I made the decision to go into David's house. As soon as we got in, I got on the phone with my husband and told him where we were, just in case. But David was extremely hospitable to us. He got us dry towels to dry our soaking bodies. He turned on the TV to my children's favorite TV show, and he made them sandwiches. I will tell you that as soon as we left David's house, we had a long conversation about what to do and what not to do when a stranger invites you into their house. But despite breaking these rules of societal normal behavior, David and I got into this really interesting conversation. Whatever assumptions we had made about each other proved to be completely incorrect. I was dressed in my casual clothes, so he was really surprised to hear that I was a rabbi. Not being Jewish, David didn't even know that women can be rabbis. And he didn't know that I spent so much of my time doing some social justice work. It turned out that David's father was a preacher and his son was named Isaiah. Isaiah is my favorite prophet who I quote from all of the time. I can tell you, I do not know what I thought David's backstory was, but I was surprised to learn that he's also from California and that he also moved to Cleveland for work. As an African-American man, he told me his stories about growing up in the Deep South and the racism that he faced becoming a doctor. We also talked about the important role of social justice in his life. This was a chance meeting because neither David nor I were normally home on a Monday afternoon. If it wasn't raining that day, I don't know that David and I would have met, but I am still amazed at all of the commonalities shared between us. Years later, I am still struck by David's kindness and thoughtfulness. It would have been so easy for him to just let us walk by without saying a word. But his actions taught me about the way that neighbors and strangers really can care for one another. David's actions fit right into the words of last week's Torah portion, Kiddushin. In last week's parasha, we read the words from the Holiness Code. In the Holiness Code, there are rules about how we should be holy and what we need to be holy. The parasha begins with the famous words, Kiddushin tihiyu, you shall be holy. And then it is followed by a list of all sorts of rules that we need to follow. Some of these rules relate to ritual practices, and others are about beliefs we're supposed to have. But the most challenging and the most interesting section of it is how we are meant to treat each other. This includes paying the laborers as soon as their work is finished, leaving the corners of the field unharvested for those in need, and judging each other fairly. We were also told not to put a stumbling block before the blind or insult the deaf. And we read these famous words, these very important words, that you shall love your fellows, love the stranger, love your neighbor as yourself, for I am Adonai. This idea is repeated several times throughout the Torah, and each time when it is reiterating this idea, we are not supposed to ignore the suffering or the hardship of our neighbors, but we are supposed to do what we can to help them. And I know that we read about these ideals often, but how often do we actually get to act upon them? And commenting on this Torah portion, the Spanish philosopher Maimonides said that when we see someone in distress, we should try to help them in the ways that we would want to be helped if we were the ones who were suffering. In discussing this idea, one of my very favorite commentators, Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, writes that caring for our neighbors embodies this idea of social capital. Social capital is a term that sociologists use not to talk about wealth or money, but to talk about the level of trust within a society. Social capital occurs when neighbors feel like they are surrounded by people who have their best interests at heart. It is believing that neighbors will return lost property when they find it, and that they will be keeping an eye out for each other and helping one another. When societies have social capital, they work better because of the inherent relationship between the individuals in it. Even if these ties are not close, there is still a relationship between people. In an article written by sociologists Tom Sander and Catherine Lowy, they outline not only the importance of social capital and the ways to build social capital, but an outline of how to do so. They define the main components of making social capital successful is building up trust and reciprocity between neighbors. They say that this happens when people engage with one another. At the core of their argument is that the more people feel connected to each other through schools or sports teams or organizations or block parties or religious institutions or whatever it may be, the more connected they feel to one another. And then this connection has a domino effect because the more ties people have, the more connected they feel to one another in society, the more likely they are to find common ground and to bridge these differences. As these differences lessen, then similarities rise and trust is built. With increased social capital, people feel more likely to trust each other and to help one another. These arguments, these thoughts are completely aligned with Sachs's reading of this parasha, because it focuses on the relationships and our responsibilities to one another. And when we have these relationships, when we treat each other well, then that is the path to holiness. So just to be clear, I am not suggesting that we make unsafe choices. I am not advocating for going into strangers' homes or welcoming people into our homes in unsafe ways. But I do think that we can focus on the holiness that we have in these relationships, and we can focus on the ways that we can help each other. If we think of these interactions between friends, between community members, and even strangers as paths to holiness, then perhaps we were able to support each other in different ways, and we can contribute to the building of this social capital in our society. So I believe that this Torah portion is asking us to find the ways to be like David, that we seek holiness in helping and supporting each other, that we use this holiness to build up social capital, not just through our involvements, but also through helping our friends and our neighbors, and even strangers when we can, in safe ways. Since that day when we were caught in the rain, David and I have become friends, and I made sure to stop by and say goodbye to him before we left Cleveland. I have thought about him often and the kindness that he showed to us that day. But also, I have asked myself that if I had seen a woman walking with 2 young kids that day, would I have even noticed them? And if I noticed them, would I have done anything to help them? I also ask myself, if I had seen David and his family walking, would I have been as hospitable to them as they were to us? Rabbi Jonathan Sachs ends his commentary on this parsha with these words: "Never be in too much of a rush to stop and come to the aid of someone in need of help. Rarely, if ever, will you make a better investment of your time. It might take only a moment, but its effects may last a lifetime." Or as William Wordsworth put it, the best portion of a good person's life can be the little, nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and love they show to others. So may we all be able to live up to the ideals in this parasha. May we be able to create holiness in the way that we treat each other, the way we speak to each other, the ways we support each other. May we be able to do this now and always. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for beautiful words. Shakach. I was contemplating what I wanted to share with you in this moment. We have just a moment for announcements, and I think I'd like to do something a little bit unusual with this moment. So first of all, the annual meeting is coming up on Sunday. I really hope that you'll consider tuning in. We found out last year that it was actually kind of fun to do this over Zoom, and probably will continue to do this over Zoom in the future. It's so much easier for everyone to participate that way. And one of the most important things that we get to do at this annual meeting is to recognize and to quite literally vote on those who choose to lead this congregation. As staff and as clergy, we simply cannot do the work that we do without a sacred partnership with you. And that is in the form of lay leadership, leading committees and serving on our board. I know that some people find serving on the board to be a little bit of seeing how the sausages are made, kosher sausages, of course. But I understand that. But the truth is that it is such a gift and such a blessing. And so I do want to invite you to the annual meeting. You do have to pre-register, so please do that and join us. It'll be, we promise to keep it timely, but it'll be interesting to hear what this year has meant for our congregation. But the most important thing for me in that moment is to recognize our leaders, our board members, our committee members, those who have given so much of their time and energy to help us create Jewish community. It is quite literally the reason why we are here, especially our fearless leader, and I mean that literally. I think she is fearless, Eloise Paul, who serves as our president and is completing her first year. This very unusual year. This is not the year she expected to have as president. She has led us with grace and strength, and it will be worthy just to show up to celebrate her and to hear from her some of her accomplishments and what she sees moving forward into a really wonderful year ahead. And yes, feel free to add kudos to Eloise in the chat. Thank you, Stephen, for doing that. I will also mention that we have adult education ongoing. Rabbi Jordana's wonderful class about wise biblical women has, I think, one more session. That's this week. Sorry?
We're studying the Daughters of Zelopheha.
Studying the Daughters of Zelopheha, which, if you're not familiar with them, they are incredibly important characters in the Bible, yes? You're welcome to join. And my class is actually starting not this week, but next week, May 13th. Hopefully, you have all at least been exposed somewhat to the television show, The Good Place. So We heard the comments. I have found plenty of what we call Chomer Lidrush, that is material that contains vital Jewish lessons in this show, an extraordinary show, a bit bizarre, but we are going to dive deeply into the Jewish meanings behind the good place, and that class will start, I think, on the 13th. So please check that out and join us, even for a little bit of it. It'd be wonderful to have you. I am also very pleased to have the confirmation class here with us. Welcome once again to all of you. I'm looking forward to dinner and a really wonderful Shabbat evening with all of you. And with that, and welcome to all of you, we are going to turn to our concluding prayers. So we'll begin on page 282. If you have a prayer book, page 282. At the bottom of that page, you will find the traditional text of the Elenu, and we would invite you to please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
As our thoughts turn to the service ending, we pause for a moment of memory, remembering those who we have lost in recent days, remembering those whose yahrzeits occur, the anniversary of their passing, because we know that every time the seasons move, we bring them with us, and their memories are never far behind. Please feel free to use the chat to mention those loved ones, friends, family members who you are remembering in this moment. Yes, you are welcome to have a seat if you have not already. And I'll read the names from our congregation, those who we have lost in recent days. We remember Beth Ann Goodman Green, the sister of Gary Goodman and Patty. Remember Ann Glasser, mother-in-law of Elliot Yallis. We remember Phyllis Smith, the mother of Debbie Provisor, Leonard Voigt. We also remember those who were taken from us during the past 30 days, whose families are in the period of Shloshim. We remember Mick Burrs, Sanford Sandy Circus, Robert Aronson. We also, of course, remember those whose yahrzeits occurred during the week that has passed. On this Shabbat, we remember Sam Abels, Paul Andy Anderson, Bertha C. Anderson, Edward Baker, Joshua Batt, Carol Berman, Abe Berman, Betty Eichler Blum, Sheldon Bresco, Meyer Bronicky, Eric Douglas Buloff, Joseph Burstein, Jacqueline Butterman, Jack Falk, Eric Freed, Stanley H. Friedman, Herman Gilbert, Dorothy Ann Gitlin, Jack Glick, Reuben Glick, Maurice Gordon, Maurice E. Gould, Esther Dannenberg Graybush Richmond, Nancy Greenspoon, Kalman Haber, Ella Hartman, Phyllis Heller, Louis Jaffe, Jenny Kahn, Rose D. Kahn, Judith Carzon, Charlotta Katona, William Nick Kelly, Gerald LeBounty, David Levin, Ginger Lewis, Betty Lurie, Robert Lutz, George Mendlowitz, James Mitchell, Rose Nickbarg, Benjamin Nissenshaw, Morris Osherwitz, Adolf Pockross, Sarah Pomerantz, Ruth Schott, Isaac Silver, Stephen Simons, Florence Sosin, Harry Speyer, Milton Tavel, Labe Voldman, Fanny Weiner, Frida Winsky, Isaac Wolf, Samuel S. Yallis. We also remember those who you have mentioned in the chat. We recall Adam Spiegel, Timothy Meeson, Julia Baker, Midge Irvin, Eleanor Poloski, Michael Gaines, Gussie Reamer, Abraham Katz, Jake Morris, Joe Burstein, Marcel Epstein, Mary Lou Farb, Rick Lowery, Wes Shirehorst, brother Julie Metz. We remember all those who lost their lives during this Lag BaOmer holiday in Israel. We remember Andy Anderson, Nathan Unger, Leah Cody, Josh Soder. Zichronam livracha, may their memories always be for blessing. We turn to page 294 for those who have a Siddur, and I invite you once again to please rise as one. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach hiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chaye echon u'v'yom echon, v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach la'olam u'lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal, shemei dekudsha brichu, La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlomo Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim Elenu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom birmamav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Elenu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. We add to this prayer for peace for our people, a prayer for peace for all who dwell on earth, with the words, Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. And we say together, Amen. 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 Shabbat Shalom, Cantor.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is wonderful to be here with you. It's
Such a
wonderful
pleasure.
to not wear masks and be able to be vaccinated and be this close. It is also wonderful to have some distance, but be in person. And we cannot wait for the day when we, hopefully soon, can be in person with all of you. So let's say Shabbat Shalom together, shall we?
Let's say Shabbat Shalom for things that we will never take for granted again in the way that we once did.
Blowing out birthday candles,
Right?
anyone? I don't think.
Even just standing beside someone, we will never take for granted again. So we sing together, Shabbat Shalom. You all know the words. Shabbat Shalom, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Now we'll switch.
Okay.
Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat
Mevorach. Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom. If you do have a challah, raise it up high. I think our challah is waiting for us in the other room. We have dinner waiting for us, but let's bless this moment, bless the meal that in a sense, in a spiritual sense, we will all share together. I see a few challahs there. These will be our communal challahs. Thank you so much. Please join us in blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
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 You got to tear off a piece of that. There are cutters and there are tearers. I personally think that tearing makes it taste better, but do as you will. And let's go ahead and unmute everyone. We'll say Shabbat shalom.
May
And
say Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
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 Shabbat
Shabbat shalom,
shalom.
everybody.
May say
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom,
Shalom,
dear.
Victor.
Shabbat shalom.
Jen, Joy.
Dad, love
Shalom.
you.
Love you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Next week, everyone.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Shabbat shalom.
See all of you. It's wonderful to see past confirmands. I see lots of you out there.
Shalom, Jennifer. Shabbat shalom, Matt.
Hey. Hi,
Shabbat
Rudy.
shalom,
Shabbat
Chet.
shalom.
See you all. And I hope
Shabbat
it's
shalom, Rabbi.
wonderful.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom, my
Cantor.
brother.
Shabbat shalom.